When beyond our comfort zone, comfort others. Welcome to another episode of Morning Medz, FamilyFamily.com's devotional spotter for males to meditate on Yahweh's word for good success as defined in Joshua 1 verse 8. We are grateful for your continued attention on this March with the Scriptures today. We're in day 68 or episode 68. We have not been consecutively doing this every day. But in our last episode, in Morning Medz 67, we ended on the topic that Jesus' gospel often leads us beyond our comfort zone. And we looked at that from Acts 10, 1-16. Peter is stretched to fellowship with who are called unclean or outside people, Gentiles, and he is interacting with Romans who are, and he's allowing them to stay in the home that he is, which is not something that Jewish people would normally do, traditional or Orthodox Jewish people would do. So today we're continuing on the story, and we're saying today we're continuing in Acts 10 verses 17 to 23, and today's title is Peter Follows Through, and we're looking at the general topic of hope. And the gospel is very, very powerful to give people hope, especially people who have normally been shut out, people who are seen as outsiders. And we see the hope of the gospel being taken to people who traditionally have no status in Jewish society, in the same way that you can have societies where you have different classes of people. Some societies still have what is called a caste system. Some people have, and that has a different ranking or gives a different value of human. Or people are not seen as equal, but people are seen with different levels of value in this society. And we understand that goes against the grain of Genesis 1. All men were created, all mortals were created in the image of God in Genesis 1, meaning that all mortals are given the opportunity to show the personality of God, the creativity of God, the responsibility or the functionality of God, the morals and intellect of God, and the conscience of God. All morals also bear the hatred of death and want to live forever. The immortal drive is a part of what theologians or Bible nerds call the image of God. So Jesus' gospel is humanizing all people. And we see Peter now stretched to engage with all people in Acts 10, 1-16. Today we're reading from Acts 10, 17 to 23 to see how Peter follows through and continues to engage these outsiders. I'm reading today from the Good News Translation, and it's almost the same thing in the King James Version, which is your favorite version, so easy to understand. Acts 10, 17 to 23 reads in the Good News Version, while Peter was wondering about the meaning of this vision, the men sent by Cornelius had learned where Simon's house was, and they were now standing in front of the gate. They called out and asked, "Is there a guest here by the name of Simon Peter?" Peter was still trying to understand what the vision meant, when the Spirit said, "Listen, 3 men are here looking for you. So get ready and go down, and do not hesitate to go with them, for I have sent them." So Peter went down and said to the men, "I am the man you're looking for. Why have you come?" "Captain Cornelius sent us," they answered. "He is a good man who worships God and is highly respected by all the Jewish people. An angel of God told him to invite you to his house so that he could hear what you have to say." Verse 23. Peter invited the men in and persuaded them to spend the night there. So today our main Torah, our main teaching, is that when beyond our comfort zone, comfort others. When beyond our comfort zone, comfort others. So when Jesus leads us beyond our comfort zone, we can follow through and be comforting to those we meet, as we would never have met them except for him, Jesus. We honor Jesus of Nazareth, this carpenter, when we comfort the people he definitely leads us towards. This scripture tract details Peter's interaction with and welcome of the squad of men sent from the Roman centurion Cornelius to him at Joppa. As a Jew who is strongly influenced by the Hebrew, what we call here insular practices, no disrespect, it is almost impossible that Peter would have met these Roman soldiers without Jesus' intervention, and now we want to see what kind of approach he has to them. In the key verse 23, then called he them in and lodged them. And on the morrow Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him. End quote. Verses 1 to 16 showcases another in the cases of Gentiles or outsiders being impacted and empowered by the resurrected Jesus and his followers. On top of Philip evangelising Samaria, the Ethiopian eunuch's conversion and baptism, Saul's conversion, now the Roman centurion Cornelius is being impacted by the Jesus gospel. The Hebrew culture is rapidly engulfing outsiders, including influential non-Hebrew military and political leaders, through the message of Jesus' resurrection. Peter, however, is still a very stubborn disciple, despite all his experience with Jesus, even after Jesus' resurrection and ascension. Interestingly, the book of Jonah in the Old Testament, or the Tanakh, shows that often when we are stretched, we are unwelcoming of people we are unaccustomed to, and frankly might even hate. Whereas Jonah had to go on a far journey and end up in a large fish's belly, in Peter's case, the journey came to his host's door, and this often is more uncomfortable when outsiders intrude into our personal space, quote unquote. Peter here follows through after the three statements of Jesus in his rooftop vision to treat what he, Jesus, has cleansed as holy, and welcomes, quote unquote, unholy outsiders according to Hebrew tradition. Interestingly, 3 is an important number to Peter, as it speaks to the 3 times he betrayed Jesus, as well as the 3 times Jesus commanded him to feed disciples. Now, when we go back to the vision, the rooftop vision that's mentioned in Acts 10, 1 to 16, it's 3 times that Jesus has to speak to Peter, and he brings down the food that is in this drape of apparel or textile, comes down from the sky to him, and it's all kind of unclean food. Jesus has to give him the vision 3 times, and you know that Peter betrayed Jesus 3 times, and he was also commanded to feed Jesus' sheep, his disciples, 3 times. So why is this repeated teaching important? Some of us need repeated experiences with Jesus to change. Jesus is patient, though.